second going. All right, guys, do me a favor. Let's share. Do me a favor, share. Let's start a watch party. Let's do take a few seconds to get that going. Let's get that going. Let's see here. All right. Do me a favor, y'all. Share for me. Oh, going back. A few more seconds. Let's get this all over. Do me a favor, watch party, share, guys. Let's get this going. Knowledge shouldn't just reside with one person. Let's make sure everybody knows. Let's get this going. All right. Y'all ready? We about to kick it off. All right, let me get my music down for a second while we're getting ready. While I'm doing this, you guys get your journals, get your pens, get your paper, let's get ready. Hope you guys are ready because today is about to be on and popping. Let's share. Share to as many places you can think of. All right, guys. Thank you for joining. My name is Ebony Porter Ike, and I am the owner and founder of Coinology, and I am so glad to be back. I used to do these every single week, every Thursday, about a year or so ago, and I took some time off because I had to really focus on building my business and also go into meditation about what did I want to do next as it related to Coinology, because everything that I do, everything that I say, everything related to Coinology is always driven to me from a higher force. So I wanted to make sure that I was actually hearing what it was that I needed to focus on and answering the questions that you guys had. Coinology is for all of those people out there who are entrepreneurs who are looking to go to the next level, or you're at a certain point in your life and you're trying to figure out what's next for me, and you have a desire to enter into entrepreneurship, but there could be some fears, some frustrations, some things that are keeping you from taking that jump. And so that is why Coinology was created. So, you know, I have two other books. I have Intentionally Winning, which is book 2, and Authentically You, which is book 1. And now I'm actually working on my third book. But while I'm working on that, I was in some deep research and studying, and I came across some information inside of Think and Grow Rich that I wanted to share. And I thought it was so good that I wanted to share it over the next 31 weeks. As you guys know, most of us spend a lot of time focusing on success factors. What do I need to do to be successful? How do I get what I want? How do I manifest what I want? How can I speak what I want into the universe, the law of attraction, and things of that nature? And it's good that we stay positive. It's good that we think about the positive things. But if everybody who practiced the law of attraction and practiced manifestation got what they wanted strictly off of that, then it will be a whole lot more successful people. The truth is, the reason why we don't see as many of those people is because we are self-sabotaging ourselves every single day with these 31 factors of failure. So it's important for you to know the success factors, but it's also important for you to know the failure factors. If you're not aware of the failure factors, it is very easy for you to probably try to manifest something, and at the same time, you're counteractive to it because you are practicing these 31 factors of failure. And so it's important. So I didn't want to gloss over the 31 and one session because they're all too deep. They're all very complex. So I wanted to have time to do that each week. So for one, if you don't have your journals and pens, definitely get it down. Go grab them now. Each week, we will be building on top of each other. And you may have questions or details that you learned from this week that you can carry over into the next week. So grab your paper and pen now. And if you have not shared, definitely share with a few other people. I am going to be answering questions as they come. So if you have questions, definitely ask them and I will answer them as they come up, because this is going to be an interactive session. The only way that this is going to be helpful for you and for me to make sure I'm giving you what you need is that I'm going to have to hear the questions and get some feedback so we can make sure we're on the same page. All right. So let me see. If you've read Think and Grow Rich, put a number 1 in the comment line. Somebody put a 1. If you have not read Think and Grow Rich, put a number 2. That just helps me understand where I'm at. So as I'm teaching this information, I'm teaching at the level where everyone is at. So if you've read Think and Grow Rich, put a 1. If you have not, put a 2. So I'll know where we are. Hey, Colette, thank you for joining. Hey, Adrian. Hey, Cassie. Okay, so you have not. Anybody else? Who else? If you've read it, 1. If you have not, 2. Hey, Jelana, how are you, girl? Okay, good, 2. All right, so it seems like we have majority of the folks in here probably have not read it. So that gives me a little bit of information. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about, we'll get it tomorrow. Okay, good. Yes, get it tomorrow. And then you can go along on this journey week after week. And keep in mind, if you get it tomorrow, it's great. But I'm going to go so deep into this information that you should be well-versed. The Think and Grow Rich talks about a lot of other principles. But for me, the 31 factors of failure knocked me off my feet. When I listened to this and he explained why these principles cause business owners to fail, I was floored. Jelana, the name of the book is called Think and Grow Rich, and it's by Napoleon Hill. All right. So now we're going to talk about failure and what failure is and what it isn't, okay? There's so many thoughts around failure. Failure is really the eye of the beholder. What that means is failure is all about how you perceive it. And for most times, we misclassify failure. Failure is something that every major entrepreneur will have to encounter. It's part of the process in order to get to that next level. It's just part of the formula. If you do not fail and fail and fail again, you will not get to that level of success, because part of the formula of success is persistence. The other part of it is consistency. Okay, consistency means to do the same thing the right way over and over and over again. And persistence is to continue to do it. Once you failed, you get back up and you continue to do it. Once you fail, you get back up and you continue to do it. You don't stop because something didn't go your way. You go back to the drawing board and you work on, what are these things that I need to do? How can I restructure, reclassify? That is what persistence is all about. But many of us end up misclassifying failure. We will call something a failure when a reaction, it may just be a redirection or a delay. So many, the universe will come to us in different ways and provide us information in different ways and tell us, okay, your time is up here. Your season is up here. I came here. I wanted you to meet this person. I wanted you to get this nugget. I wanted you to get this experience. But now your time is up. So that doesn't mean because you didn't get to the end goal there that it was a failure. It just means that you're being redirected to the next assignment that you may have. Delay. Sometimes we may give ourselves a timeline and we may say, I need to have this by this time. But the universe may say, it's not time for that yet. I have not laid out all of the other things that you need in order to be successful at that place. A delay doesn't mean denial. It just means not right now. But just delay and redirection are the two top items that typically get thrown into failure, and they're not failure. It's part of the process. So most of us, once we get to that point, we give up. We throw in the towel. We decide we're not going to keep going. We decide that we don't want to, because a lot of us, failure or disappointment doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good when you set out to do something, you have goals and dreams, and it doesn't work the way you want it to. It doesn't feel good. So a lot of us put up walls and mechanisms to keep us from experiencing what we call failure. But technically, you have to experience it. You have to go through the experiences. You have to ask yourself, what did I learn from it? You have to refocus, remode, and go back at it again in order to finally one day get to that euphoria. The difference between the successful people and the non-successful people is that the successful people never gave up. They kept going. They hit a wall and they got up and kept going. They ran out of money, they got up and kept going. They were betrayed, they got up and kept going. They lost all of the support from everyone around them. They got up and kept going. That is the difference. And this person over here just stopped. They were worried about what people thought about them. They were worried about what people said about them. They were worried about all of the other dynamics around them versus getting up and going again and going again and going again. That's the difference between the 98% and the top 2%. The top 2%, they never stop. They keep going. All right. So you're going to hear me say some of these principles over and over again every week. And as you hear these principles, you need to jot them down, because as we talk about them weekly, there are going to be some things that you're going to say, but last week you said this, so how come this week is that? So that I can make sure that I explain the difference between the two as we go through them weekly. Let's get down to it. All right. So the first factor of failure that we're going to talk about today is probably the only factor of failure that you cannot control. And that is unfavorable heredity. All right. And so the people will look at that in different ways. Some people can say unfavorable heredity could be being born into the wrong caste system. It could be being born with a learning disability or a deficiency. It could be that you're born with a large amount of wisdom in a certain area, but the area in which you desire, you know nothing about. See, many of us automatically believe that because we weren't born with a silver spoon in our mouth, or because we didn't come from a large amount of money, or we don't know influential people, or we were born in the middle of the projects, that we are destined to always live that way. Like a person like me cannot find success in other areas because I was born into failure. I was born into destruction. And so if you allow that to resonate in your mind and you begin to believe that, then that is where you will stay. But I'm here to tell you that the majority of the people that we see that are extremely successful came from very trying periods and places. They weren't born with a silver spoon in their mouth. They didn't have a major check written out for them. They had to work. They couldn't use the excuse that I don't know this person or I live here. They had to be creative of what they had. So again, they were born. You may have people who are born with no ears. You can have people, Stevie Wonder, he can't see. Stevie Wonder could use the excuse all day long that he can't go on tour and he can't make money because he can't see. But what Stevie did was hire personnel around him that could act on the fact that he couldn't see and make decisions for him for the fact that he lacked sight. And you have to do the same thing. So the best way to do that is one of the things that I talk about all the time. It's about alignment. Okay? If you are aligned with the right people, and you have to be strategic about your alignment. The people that you bring into your life and the people that you network with, the people that you do business with, it needs to be a strategic alignment. If you are serious about being successful, you can't just be friends with just anybody. You can't just marry anybody. You can't just do anything. Everything has to be strategically aligned to help you in your areas of deficit. So what does that mean? If you know that you are trying to open up a pharmacy and you're not a pharmacist, what does that mean that I need to do? Does that mean that I need to join a mastermind group with other people who successfully opened up pharmacies, network with other pharmacists, and I find out what I need and what type of licensing that they may have so that I can obtain the goal that I want? Or do I just go home and say, forget it, I'm not going to be able to open up the pharmacy because I'm not a pharmacist? The successful person, they're going to work at it. They're not going to stop. They're not going to use the excuse that because they're not a pharmacist, they can't open up the pharmacy. The successful person is going to get up. They're going to research. They're going to dig deep. They're going to find other people like themselves who own a pharmacy who are not pharmacists and find out how they did it. And then they're going to network with the people that are required to get that pharmacy open. It's work. Now, the work did not entail them going back to pharmacy school and becoming a pharmacist. Their work was entailed with, I am going to network. Because let me say this, 9 times out of 10, if they're not a pharmacist, it may be because maybe they weren't good in science and math. Maybe they had a deficit in understanding in that space. Does that mean just because I'm not good in science and math and I want to open up this pharmacy because I see that it's great money and a great opportunity and I really want to help the community, that I should stop there? No. I should find a solution. See, for every problem, there's a solution. And so if you were born with a heredity or a generational quote unquote curse that you feel that you can't break, one being your caste, any type of physical or mental differences, there are still ways to get around that. The first thing that you're going to have to do, though, is understand that you have a lack. See, successful people are the type of people who will do an introspective look. They're real with themselves. They understand people would like to believe that they're perfect. Everybody wants to believe that everything they do is right and they're perfect and it's not my fault. It's not. But real leaders, people who are going to leave a mark on this world, understand that they play a part in everything that happens around them, whether it be good or it be bad. You have a role in it. And until you accept the fact of what your role is and take an introspective look, you're not going to be successful. So the first thing you would have to do is take an introspective look at yourself and say, what am I lacking? What do I need to develop? What do I need to work on? And then after you do that, you determine, you start outlining who, what, and where I need to attack in order to meet my goal. It's strategic. It's strategy. It's important. If you're going to be that top 2%, you have to be strategic in all of your decision making. Your alignment must be clear. All right. So some of the notes that I have here. Once you realize your true position and you understand your leadership in your position, you'll be good with making those hard calls. But until you get to that leadership part and being able to accept your failures or your lack of, it's going to be difficult for you to make those decisions. I want you guys to go ahead and ask me some questions right now. Anybody have any questions around the heredity, unfavorable heredity? Because we're going to talk a little bit about Oprah. We're going to use Oprah as a case study. And I know there's been a lot of discussion out there now about Gail and Oprah. Let's forget about all that stuff right now, just for learning perspective. We're going to use her as a case study. Any questions so far about what I shared? All right. So Well, I'm going to use Oprah as an example. Oprah was born in a rural place to a poor family. She is African American. She's a woman. Economically, she was disadvantaged, and she didn't finish college. However, her desire was to be one of the top television personalities in this country and to go on a network. But let's go back again to her unfavorable heredity, okay? She was born, you look at her and you look at Donald Trump. Where and how she was born and what she was born into. Totally different. Oprah was born, again, into a rural place, poor family, African American, female, had been molested she was raped by the time she was 8, molested or raped by 4 other family members, and a teenage mom. Oh, by the way, and no college degree. And she wanted to be one of the top TV hosts. Technically speaking, she didn't know anybody. She didn't come from a family of wealth. She didn't have the influence. And by the way, she didn't look like the way that America expects you to look initially back then to be on TV. She had everything working against her. She was a black girl, a little overweight, with, no degree. And, on and on and on. She had everything working against her. And Oprah is now one of the richest women in the world. Let's look at Jay-Z. Jay-Z, black male, born in Marcy projects. Sold drugs on the corner. Didn't graduate from high school. Didn't start his rap career till he was close to 30. Went to, he had a court case for murder. And now he is a billionaire. Again, he wasn't born with the same things that Donald Trump had. He was born in a place of unfavorable heredity, which meant he was dropped into this universe, into this world with everything against him, quote unquote, as society would say. But what I have noticed is that those who are born into places such as that and come out of it end up being the most successful people that we end up encountering. For one, they don't want to stay there. They know what it means to be there. But the hustle and drive to get to the other side and the amount of failure and disappointment, the amount of persistence, the times that they had to keep getting up when the doors were closed in their face and they had to keep getting up and restructuring and refocusing and being strategic about your alignments and keep going and keep going. That is what makes you a winner. That is what makes you a champion. Those are the key elements of being a champion. When things are handed to you and given to you, you don't have to work for it. You're going to squander it. You're going to make a mess of it because you don't know what's right and you don't know what's wrong because you've never gone through the experiences. So you have a choice. You can let the fact that you were born into an unfavorable situation be your failure. That means you might as well don't even start, don't even try. And that is one of the reasons why we have the top 2% and 98% of the other people just take their situation and say, this is the way it's always been for me. You can easily say, well, my grandmother was on public assistance, my mom was on public assistance, and I'm going to be on public assistance. That could be your scenario. Or you can say, it's going to stop here. I'm going to break that curse here. I am going to do something different here. It all depends on how you handle the fact that you were born into a situation and how that impacts you, how that impacts your brain, how you choose to move forward with it. So this topic here is one of the most difficult ones that we'll talk about because it is not something that you can innately change. You can't help where you were born. You can't help if you were born a man or a woman. You can't help your ethnicity. You can't help if you came into a family that did not have a lot of finances. But what you can help is how you choose to use your brain in those opportunities. As I mentioned before, the difference between Oprah and Jay-Z and everyone else that stayed in the situation they're in is that they were strategic. So people talk a lot about Jay-Z, and they talk about, oh, he's cold-blooded. He's a cold-blooded businessman. He's hard. He's this, he's that. No, what Jay-Z is he's strategic. He's smart. He understood that when a season and a time was up, once he got what he needed to get from that situation, it then was time to pivot. He also understood that once a relationship no longer served him well, he no longer saw that he was growing or he was the smartest person at the table, it was time to get up from that table and go to another one or start your own. That is not being cutthroat. That is being strategic. That's being smart. That is being, I am determined to be at that top 2%. And in order for me to get there, I have to align myself with the other 2%. If he continues to align himself with the other 98%, he'll continue to live a 98% life. So that's a decision that you have to make as well. Where do you want to align yourself? What do you want this to mean for you? Are you going to use the excuse, I don't know, I don't have, I can't do, or are you going to find solutions for your situation? And that's the question that you have to think about today. So for tonight, what I want you to do as you sit down and think about these things, I want you to write out the things that you think, when you say, I've been dealt a bad hand. I've been given a bad, choice in life. I want you to write down those things that you feel have been given to you and you feel that it's made life more difficult for you. Whether it's your ethnicity, whether it's where you live, whether it's your gender, whether it's your economics, whether it's, whatever it is, I want you to jot down those things that you feel have held you back from achieving what you're looking for. See, this is the thing. If you do not think about it, and this is an assignment that should take you a minute because you need to really sit down and absorb it, because once you get to a certain age, you've gotten to a point where you just are okay with the way life is and you just have accepted it. You've said, oh, okay, this is just going to be it for me and I'm just accepting it. I'm asking you to challenge that mindset. I'm asking you to think about that. I want you to jot down the things that you truly think could be you wish were different about you. You really wish that these things were different. I wish that I had a rich family. I wish that I was 30 pounds lighter. I wish that I was a different ethnic. Whatever it is, write it down. Be truthful and honest about what those items are. All right? I want you to do that tonight. It should, and if you're really truthful to yourself, you should have at least 5 of those things. All right? And some of us will have more. But I want you to jot those things down. And then I want you to, the next day, come back to that list. And I want you to each day start jotting down, what can you do to offset that deficit? What can you do? So no, you can't change your economic background. No, you can't change certain key details about who you are. But you can align yourself with certain people who obtain or have the things that you are aspiring to have, that have the knowledge, that have the relationship, that may even have the funding. But unless you actually are honest with yourself that these are the things that I struggle with, these are the things that are keeping me from getting to my end goal. If you're not honest with yourself about that, you will not be able to be strategic and write out the plan for it, and you will not be able to get to that top 2% that we're talking about. Because remember, the top 2% got there from strategy. There's no such thing as luck. There's no such thing as the sun, moon, and the stars lining up, and it just happened for me. Everything is based off a principle, universal principle. And either you are igniting that, or you are diffusing it. You have to ask yourself, what am I doing? Am I igniting that next place in my life? Or am I stopping it? Am I putting out my flames? Ask yourself that. So any questions so far? Any questions in regards to your homework for this week? It's all about introspection. You have to look at yourself. You have to be honest, and you have to jot down the truth. I am going to see if there's any questions. This is the time to ask them. Let's see. Any questions? Hey, Yolanda, thank you for joining. Hey, Katrina, Adrian, Jelana, thank you guys for joining. Any questions at all that I can answer in regards to this? This is going to be a very fun series, guys. It's going to make you stop, do some work. By the time we finish these 31 weeks, you will not be the same person. The way that you look at things, the way that you develop your goals, your relationships, the way that you go about choosing the people that you have around you, all of those things are going to change. And so you have to be ready for that. Okay, Yolanda, no questions right now. Okay, great. You have to be ready for that, because what I will tell you is this journey is not an easy journey. Many people won't understand what you're doing. They won't understand why you're making the decisions that you're making. They won't understand the moves that you're making. But that's because society and the majority of the 98%, and the 98% have not been trained and educated on what the 2% know. And the top 2%, it has nothing to do with your degrees. It has nothing to do with your titles. It has nothing to do with what job you hold. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with understanding the universal principles of success. And until you understand those things, you'll always be a part of that 98%. So tonight, you have to make a decision. You have to put a stake in the sand and make a decision whether you are fine being a part of the 98% and living a comfortable life, because to me, comfort is death. When I get comfortable, when things are too easy for me, it's like death. I have to always be operating in a space of uncomfort. And when I'm operating in a space of uncomfort, I know that I am growing. And I am like a plant. I have to constantly be moisturized and constantly be growing, or I will die. So it's important for me for that. So you have to ask yourself, what do you want to do? Do you want to stay in that 98 percentile of the masses? That's where it's popular. That's where it's fun. That's where everyone loves you. That's where you're the life of the party. The top 2% are the ones that are hated. They're misunderstood. There's a lot of envy. There's a lot of jealousy. There's a lot of loneliness, because you are operating on a different drum than everybody else. And if you want it bad enough, you will be okay with it. But it's a decision you have to make. Okay, I see that. Right, Jelana, for me, comfort is death. That's just the way I look at it. And so I began thinking about that at a very early age. And when I started thinking about it, and my mind clicks that way. So when I get too comfortable, it's like a alarm goes off in the back of my head. And it's like, it's time to shift. It's time to change. It's time to do something differently. Something is wrong. You got to keep it moving. Because when you stay here, you will be extinguished. Because best believe there's always somebody coming up behind you for your spot. So you got to keep it moving. You got to stay innovative. You got to stay energetic. You got to stay on it. You got to keep researching and learning and meeting and growing and strategically aligning yourself. If you stay placed in one part, if you're in the same situation that you were at 5 years ago, heck, if you're in the same situation that you were at a year ago, 2019, there's a problem. There's a problem. You have to keep growing. And what growth is what it's all about. But again, the top 2%, remember, 2% means that it's only enough room in there for 2% of the population. So everybody won't go. So even as we have this series and we have these 31 weeks of master classes, 98% of you guys will still be doing the exact same thing next year. Only 2% of you guys are going to actually apply the learnings that we talk about and actually shift. It won't be that you won't know. It would just be because you have decided the sacrifice isn't worth it. See, one of the things that I realized also is that the universal pull, you can't get something without giving something. The universe requires that. In order for it to give you something, you have to sacrifice something. And some of us are saying, I'm not willing to sacrifice. The sacrifice could be, weeks away from your family. It could be money. It could be time. It could be, marriages. It could be a lot of you have to sacrifice for greatness. It doesn't come to you in a comfortable place. Okay, Yolanda, you said, and sometimes your growth shifts you out of place. That makes the room for someone to, yeah, it does. It does. And let me tell you something. If you're comfortable, you will not be the top 2%. I'm going to say it again. If you're comfortable, you will not be that top 2%. Those top 2%ers, their mind is constantly flowing. They're constantly thinking of new ideas. They're constantly going because they understand that the next one is coming up behind them. And there's only enough room in that spot for 2%. So the moment that you get comfortable in that 2% mark, you're going to be booted right back down to 98% because you can't get comfortable. It's not, I don't want anybody to think that it's a catch-all and everything is great and lovely at that 2%. Okay, because there's the pros and there's the cons, and we can talk. That's a whole nother masterclass about what it's like to be over in that top 2% and what it means and what you have to give up and the sacrifice and understanding that. That's a whole nother discussion. But if you make the decision today that you no longer want to live the life that you're having, and that you don't want to live in a comfort zone, and you want greater, and you want to be the change in your family, you want the curses to stop here, you want something more, then this masterclass is going to be great for you these next 31 weeks. Because again, we're not going to just focus on success principles. This masterclass is going to talk all about the factors of failure that you need to be aware of and make sure that you're not practicing. Because if you're practicing manifestation and at the same time you're implementing some of these failure factors, you're canceling each other out and you won't move, you won't elevate. So when people say, oh, it's not working for me, it doesn't work for me, the law of attraction doesn't work for me, I can't manifest what I want, I guarantee you're practicing one of these factors of failure. And each one of these factors that we're going to talk about over the next 31 weeks can take you out, period. You don't have to do all 31. One of them can take you completely out the game. So it's important, come every single week, bring your journals, bring your pencils, your pens. We are going to go deep. We're going to talk about it. And guess what? Don't come being sensitive, because I plan to pull off some of the Band-Aids so that we can actually grow and heal properly and move to the next level. Any questions that I can answer before we close out? Hey, Tanisha, thank you for joining. Hey, Melanie, thank you guys. I know you guys probably just came in. I would definitely tell you to go back and check the replay. I kind of gave an overview of what you can expect, as well as we talked about our very first failure factor, which is all about unfavorable heredity. And again, none of us can help how and where we're born, but there's things that we can do to offset that. Any questions? Anything I can answer? If there's something that you want to talk about and you can't necessarily put it here because it's private, feel free to inbox me and I will get back with you as soon as I can. Again, I'm Ebony Porter Ike. I am the founder and CEO of Coinology, and I'm also the president and CEO of the EPI Media Group. So if you are out there and you want to follow along and connect with me, you can connect with me on Facebook at Ebony Porter Ike. It's spelled like Ike, I-K-E. And then you also can follow me on Instagram at Coinology and to be able to learn a little bit more. Let me see. I see a couple of questions here, a couple of comments. Let me make sure before I close out. Okay. All right. So I think it was a great. Okay, Yolanda, thank you for making that comment. All right, guys. Well, thank you so. Hey, Sharon, how are you? Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to going through this journey with you. Make sure to tell your family and tell your friends. I know we got started today. It's been a while since we started. We've been doing Coinology, but I am committed to trying to stick with this every single week. Every Thursday at 8 o'clock, we're going to be going down this journey, 31 factors of failure. We're going to talk about it. I want you guys to come, though, with questions. If you're going to get the book, read the book. Look for the 31 factors of failure within the book so that you can come prepared, because if you don't come with questions, you're not really going to learn, and it's not going to be as beneficial for you. All right? All right, thanks everyone, and I will see you next week. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.